Ocasio-Cortez was celebrating the departure of Tucker Carlson, but one other institution was also celebrating. The Pentagon. From Politico, good riddance. Pentagon officials cheer Tucker Carlson's ouster.
It's just like Avengers. This is just so much like the Avengers movies that I like. Hey, guys, this is like those movies I saw once about the superheroes.
Which one?
Were they Avenge?
No, The Boys, where Homelander's
Oh,
Trump,
my gosh.
and he kills a protester and they cheer for it.
I never saw that.
You didn't see The Boys?
so
Spoiler,
good.
I guess.
Yeah,
So,
dude, you ruined it.
I really recommend the show because it's hilarious, but it's very obvious that. So it's basically like Justice League, Batman, Superman, etc. But they make the characters flawed or something like that. And Homelander, basically Superman, is Trump, and so he has rallies and stuff like that. And he's political, and it's like the show didn't start this way. But the crazy thing is, I'm pretty sure the character Stormfront, a literal Nazi, is Laura Loomer.
Oh,
we talked about it before.
That makes sense.
But
Yeah.
I'm not exaggerating. Like, I think they actually tried getting a character who looked like her and made the character Stormfront, and then were trying to like basically. I don't think the show was directly making a statement about Laura Loomer. I think they were inspired by the
I mean, she
media
doesn't
reports.
look like her.
The character Stormfront.
She's hot.
What? But the character looks like Laura Loomer. The character Stormfront, like similar stature.
The actress.
Yeah. So and then they said, I think now we have like the reporting is they actually were trying to base Homelander off Trump. But here's the thing: in the show, Homelander at the end of the last season is like, he's got his son with him and he's at a rally, and then some liberal throws a water bottle, hits his kid, and then Homelander just laser beams him and blows him up or whatever, and then everyone cheers for it. And I'm like, I'm fairly certain that if Donald Trump did do something like that, people would not be cheering. Sorry, it's just not reality.
No, you could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue. No one would
that's
care.
just, but like, if Donald Trump did go on Fifth Avenue with a gun and shot somebody, Trump supporters would be like, "What happened? Why did this happen?" If Donald Trump went on a murderous rampage, people would be like, "Yo, I don't know about all that." But like the way the liberals view it is they make this TV show where Trump is basically Superman, which is also a weird insinuation to make. Like they think Trump is literally Superman and they don't like it. And then he kills a guy and they think Trump supporters are like, yay! They live in a very, very strange, scary world. But anyway, before Seamus got all excited about superheroes.
The point is, in an interview, AOC was asked about if America's heading for another civil war. And she's like, well, there's a part of history that's similar to this. Captain America, when him and Iron Man fought, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to let go of this. This is ridiculous. Elected leaders referencing Marvel movies. It's our common language now. This is the state religion. It's a bizarre pop cultural polytheism. And they look to these superheroes like it's their pantheon of gods, and it's extremely embarrassing and pathetic.
Their pantheon.
It is.
Well, so the story is the Pentagon is also there with AOC. And my point was, AOC was supposed to be this insurgent character who was coming into the Democrat Party and being like, I am here for young people and we don't like the machine. And now she's like, woo, Pentagon, we're in this together. So, you know.
Yeah, they're on the same team. It's Captain America. We came together.
To be fair, Captain America was a DOD project.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, the U.S. government.
No, that is true. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's how it gets into their heads, right? It's very industrial military complex.
Seamus, you gotta let it go.
No, you're right. No, but here's a fun fact. You know, so before World War II, superheroes usually just kind of like solved problems in their own communities in the comics. Like they would beat someone up who was doing bad things in their cities. And then it was during World War II that they started making all the comics about like the superhero saving the world. Yeah, so the industrial military complex changed the narrative on
'cause
superheroes.
Batman was a
Industrial
detective.
military complex?
I don't know if I'm not saying it was a concerted effort by them, but
Military industrial complex?
military industrial complex, whatever we want to call it today, Tim. My point is just that the war effort changed the way that people saw superheroes, which I find interesting.
Yeah.
And they're a convenient propaganda tool, which is why we're in love with them again.
They have it was trending. I guess RT offered Tucker a job.
Wow.
Yeah, he should take it.
Wait, you mean like within the last day?
Yeah, I think that was the reporting. I mean, let me pull it up. And the left was like, this proves it.
Let's check it out.
Tucker Carlson offered jobs at okay. Let's get out of here with this stupid video. Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News, but welcome on Russian TV. The ousted anchor was offered work by the state-run news channel in Moscow that echo much of his conspiratorial rhetoric on the war in Ukraine.
Wait, what's the byline on this? Is it Ben Collins?
Patrick Smith. Oh, Ben Collins. That dude once made up a fake story about me.
What?
Really?
Yeah, he made up a fake story. I can't remember exactly what it was, and then the Today Show ran it. What was it? It was I can't remember the exact story, but they included some leftist activist, this is my understanding of what happened, made a super, you know how they have those activists who will take clips of you and then mash them together to make it seem like you said something different. Mm-hmm. But they're meant to be humorous, so it'd be like a weird colors. It's like someone made a video accusing me of saying a thing that was like out of context and combined with other things. And then he ran the story, and then it got picked up by a bunch of other outlets that ran it saying like, hey, you can't get mad at us. NBC News reported it. NBC News then removed the citation. So it created a dead citation. So a bunch of other media outlets were all referencing each other, referencing something with no source. That's how they play. That's how they play the game.
Ben Collins wrote a piece. I wish I could remember which piece it was. It was something about Russian disinformation and bots. That in the Twitter files, this Michael Schellenberger found the email where they're like Yoel Roth, the head of trust and safety, is calling bullshit on this story about Ben Collins. Like in the emails, he's like, "This is fraudulent. There's nothing here. This is complete propaganda." That was Ben Collins' story. He hasn't retracted it yet.
Well, I'm looking forward to the rest of the media collapsing.
The rest of the what?
The rest of the media.
Oh, the rest of the, yeah. Absolutely.
Seamus, are you just daydreaming over there?
I was thinking about the
Potatoes?
Avengers films and how much I love them. Yeah, I was thinking about potatoes. I was thinking about the time you had a potato on the show while I was gone and put my name on the title. That was great.
Had a potato on the show.
I'm suing.
It's funny because we did that.
They literally did that to me. They're bad friends.
Yeah, we put a potato in that chair, and then we put Seamus in the title card and put a picture of the potato. I mean, it's hilarious.
I am curious about this though, right? So what happens from here? Let's say all of traditional media collapses. Ooh, I mean, does the government and the deep state and the corporate world all give up and go, I guess we lost? I mean, no, they'll infiltrate social media because big tech already leans in their direction.
Like Skrulls. The shape-shifting aliens from the Marvel
That's
movies.
exactly, yes, thank you so much.
I mean,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
They already have that apparatus constructed in
Yeah.
social media. That's what we've been reporting on with the censorship industrial complex. I mean, they've got every platform basically except for Twitter at this point because of Elon Musk's takeover. So like, yeah, if it reverts to social media, it's not a problem for them.
But let me ask you about this. Is Elon being like, do you have free reign? Are you able to just access the files, or is Elon like dripping them out to you and giving you selective information?
No, definitely not the latter. How it worked was we would go in there and then we would ask for searches. So we'd say, do a search on, this is an enormous trove of files. So every email, every Slack message. So we'd have to say, I want to see all the emails from Vijay Gaddy between this date and this date, say a 5-day span or something. And then they would go and run the search. They would go to another room and run the search. And the reason why they were doing this stuff in another room is because they were extremely paranoid about our seeing any user data, because that's a serious liability for Twitter. So they had to do everything they could to make absolutely sure that what we were getting back was just internal stuff, nothing with user data. And then when they would come back with thousands of emails, thousands of Slack messages, depending upon what we're asking for, and then we'd spend days going through them. So there was no way I've heard the accusations that they were like cherry picking this stuff. No.
Well, I like what they're doing, but I think Elon needs to hire an internal liaison. Mm-hmm. Basically, they need to hire you directly for Twitter so that you as an employee are able to see user data. Then you can choose what to search for without limitation. It's very, very difficult to know what you don't know. It's impossible to know what to look for if you don't know what exists.
Yeah.
And so a good component about going through these documents is going to be just sifting through at random raw data and then finding threads. Mm-hmm. But without being able to access that system and peruse it, you don't know what to search for. So so what's happening now is with the Twitter files is I think you guys are scratching the surface. Yeah, a lot of the information is damning, but it's what we expect. What about searching for something that no one thought to search for? You know what I mean? I wouldn't know. Mm-hmm. That's the challenge. Mm-hmm. So like this is also the issue with the Hunter Biden laptop. People don't know what to look for. So it took them a year to find certain stories. We had stories from the Daily Mail coming out, exclusive. Hunter Biden laptop reveals Joe Biden was involved in this deal, and like a year after the laptop came out, because you have to go through 50,000 emails. And then you have to find the context. So there might be an email being like, hey, I confirmed that meeting with the big guy you asked about. Mm-hmm. Then you can't search for Joe Biden doing deals. You can't search for corruption. You can search for the big guy. Then you can find an email being like, hey, we're on for tonight at 10 p.m. See you there. And then you're like, who's this guy? What is he doing? If you went to someone with a laptop and said, search for Joe Biden in the emails. You wouldn't find that one. But that one combined with another one proves he was involved in certain business dealings, which is, news that came out a year later.
Right.
So this is the challenge with the censorship stuff, because it's probably worse than we realize. How do we search through this stuff?
So you go to them with search criteria. How do you know that what you're getting back is the complete picture? How do you know it's all the information that's available when they hand you a little dossier of, let's say, 2,000 documents? How do you know it's not 3,000 or 4,000?
Well, so first of all, it's important to know that like Elon, when we came into the Twitter files, Elon Musk had just taken over the company. He didn't know what was in these emails. He hadn't been there. The people running the searches were people who were brought in from Tesla and SpaceX, because he'd fired half the staff of Twitter, and later on he fired some more, and he replaced them with people from his other companies. And so they had no idea. Like, they were like trying to hold this company together with duct tape and bubble gum while running these very time-intensive searches for us. They didn't actually want to be helping us. They wanted to be doing their regular jobs, but this was kind of a task to them. So first of all, like, nobody knew what was in there before we saw it. I mean, maybe some old guard Twitter people, but all these folks were new, were just as fresh to this as we were. And then it would be obvious if there was stuff missing, because we would see email threads that would just suddenly end.
But did you actually see that?
No, we saw no evidence of anything missing. Like you would expect to see email threads starting with nothing, like, out of the blue, and email. Saw none of that.
Is Elon still giving you access to all the files?
Not at the present moment, but we hope to be back in.
Why not?
I don't know. I mean, he's Elon, right?
But like, you're just like, okay, guys, no more searching. Have a nice day.
No, it was more like we did our searches, we did our reporting. Where we hope to have an opportunity to go back in. That would obviously be at his invitation. We can't go in there without him. But that's not at this particular moment. Like, we hope to be back in.
Did you ask to search for Alex Jones?
We did not do that search. That's an interesting one to do.
But that's also part of my point. Like, without being able to just get free reign, so much is limited, and the Alex Jones thing could prove collusion between the networks at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, we did have free reign while we were in there, and we hope to be back in there. But to your point, yeah, we would need to be
like,
for months.
Here's a hard drive.
Yeah.
Start digging. You didn't have that.
Well, no, but I don't know.
I understand why.
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, because of the user data thing.
Right.
And I don't think they can just separate that. Also, this is a massive amount of data. It's like we were running searches on, it's all the emails, all the Slack messages at Twitter for years. This is like, it's not like you can just put it on an external hard drive.
So the Alex, so this is one of the issues I took with, I don't blame Elon Musk for his selection in journalists. I think he actually did a really good job of choosing some people to bring on to go through this. It's the best he could have done, but there's probably a lot of people who should have been given. Yeah, it was too. I feel like the people he chose to go through this are in a similar political
That's
space.
true. Also, it's important to point out that he did not choose everybody who went in there. He reached out to Barry and Matt Taibbi, and then Barry brought in Michael Schellenberger. Michael brought me in. I brought Li Fong in. Matt had a team that he brought in. So he basically invited two people, and then they picked the rest of the people. So this hand-picked journalist.
Man, and he's like mad at Matt and Barry now, isn't he?
He's not mad at Barry anymore.
Oh, okay, that's good.
He's cool with Barry. He's there was a little flap, but it was just over her like tweeting something critical about his like picking on that employee or something. It was just nothing. Matt, yeah, Matt's not Matt. Well, this has all been reported out. I'm not
right.
But yeah, they're.
I
they're
think
on outs.
probably one of the most important searches after federal government involvement is Alex Jones, because that looked like a cascade. It looked like a conspiracy to take one man off of all of these different platforms. I also wonder if Elon would be like, no, you can't search that one, because he's outright said he won't let Alex back on the platform.
Right. Well, if he did, then we would report that out that he refused to.
Is there anything that you haven't been allowed to?
No,
query?
nothing.
Except for now that access is basically shut off.
Yeah, but it's not shut off. It's not so much. It's not like he said you can't come back in. It's just like we had our time, we did our reporting, and then we have to be kind of like invited back in. It's not like we can't just walk in there. We don't have like passes that we can just use any time of the day. So I don't think we've been shut out. It's just, I think we'll be back in there is what I'll say. But
cool.
Speaking of conspiracies, like this stuff, the Hunter Biden laptop stuff, it was just reported that the origin of the of the Russian disinfo meme came from the Biden campaign. And this has been reported by like 2 outlets. Like, it's like, this is a huge story that spells out a literal psyop. We put all these pieces together about how the Hunter Biden laptop story was, the FBI had the computer, they had subpoenaed it, there was a receipt, those were both published in the New York Post. We knew, so the FBI definitely had the computer, and yet they were running around to these platforms saying, we think that there's going to be a what appears to be a Russian hack and leak dump in a couple of days. This is just like within days of the New York Post story breaking, going to the platforms and warning them of a hack for information that they knew to be true, assuming that they were talking about the Hunter Biden laptop, which seems like it'd be a big coincidence if they didn't. Then in the meantime, the Atlantic Council had organized like a tabletop exercise a few weeks before the story dropped, where they invited like national security reporters from the New York Times, all these bigwigs to run a tabletop exercise. What would happen if there was a Russian hack and leak operation intended to affect the election involving Hunter Biden? And then they all gamed out, well, we would suppress that and we would like call it disinformation. And then so all this stuff was already like, and this has all been documented, and it looked like a big conspiracy and psyop. And then we find out, because Jim Jordan released this letter, that it was that Tony Blinken had called Michael Morell, the acting director of the former acting director of the CIA, and didn't ask for, but said, we're very concerned about this New York Post story. And then Michael Morell went on to organize all those intelligence officers who signed that letter, saying that this has all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation, which kicked off the entire thing of discrediting the story. And it was at the behest of the Biden campaign. And this has now been reported, verified. Fucking nobody's talking about this.
Yeah, we actually covered that on my podcast yesterday, and it's so insane that somebody from a presidential campaign could reach out to connections in our intelligence agencies to get them to fabricate a letter with the names of 50 different intelligence officials on it, saying that this is Russian disinformation. So now you have the added element of them blaming a foreign power for something which is unbelievably irresponsible, so that they can try to get their candidate elected. And Trump is indicted because his campaign supposedly, paid off Stormy Daniels at his behest, and they should have disclosed that. Like, that's a greater example of corruption than the deep state operating at the behest of a member of a presidential campaign.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.